not actually day three, but this is the third episode of this series. So we are trying to build a or build a UI builder. Then built days ago. I wanted to do was use this diagram, implement it. But before we did this, I also suggested that there was other things I needed to do, which we didn't like finalize, but it was part of the intention of what was supposed to be done. So and aside from that, we said okay, we're going to do this, and then we also decided other things that. And so I had like another option. Let me say I had options on the other day, and so decided the option the other day was okay, we'll go with this and then we'll try to implement the UI builder. But rather than just implementing builder, there was another option, and the other option was to implement something way easier first of all before starting with the Figma link approach. And like I said, the last thing I said on 2 days ago was we could do other things like codex and cloud can do all of these things, just passing the UI to them and they can fix this. But then I thought of it during the weekend, which was on Sunday yesterday, that rather than the idea just came to my mind and I was like, okay, so rather than going through implementing all of this first, why not make it easy for Claude and Codex to be able to find whatever it is we are trying to talk about or we are trying to implement, which made a lot of so it actually made a lot of sense to me because think about it, we are trying to implement you're trying to implement a UI builder, and we are still trying to leverage one of these AI tools to implement that. But then the truth of the matter is, if you are trying to implement a UI builder, why not try doing that by optimizing it for the existing AI tools or AI agents that exist? So I said, okay. So when the idea came to me, I was like, oh wow, thank God. Let me go with that approach. So, but I didn't know how to go about it. So I did a bit of research, and this was what I came across. If I was supposed to create things like skills, right? So I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus. Let me use this approach. So then I dived deeper into skills and then I saw a lot of things. There was a lot of conversations, started with cloud code skills. And I realized that skills basically, like, I knew they were just context that you provide to the AI. But then I thought of it that, okay, what do we need? So we did a lot of digging and a lot of other things. So today, what I want to do today is create skills for the project. So I don't intend to create other stores for the UI today. What I just want to show today is how to create skills for this project today. That's the intention. So I'm going to minimize that. It has nothing to do with what I was trying to do today. So basically create a skill that we can put to the Vessel skill database that so that it can be used by Claude or it can be also used by either no Claude or any other tools. So that was the intention. So I said, okay, fine, let's do that. And I see there's an example of how to submit to the vessel skill, how to add an AI readable guide. So interestingly, I already have an agent.md file, which I have from an existing from which I have from an existing conversation with ChatGPT also. So I could just go through that, copy it, and use that as the agent of the MD file. So I want to create all of this, and I thought of it. Okay, what do we need? So this is an example of a public skill directory use. We can create this like this, something like this, and an AI readable guide. So our code base, or let me see the uh, structure of the code is going to look something like this. We have the skills directory, we have the agents or MD, readme.md. Now, interestingly, there is no agent or MD in the existing code base. Let me collapse everything. Right, literally just do that. So here there's no agent or MD as you can see. There's a README which is extensive. There's a documentation which contains a lot of stuffs, but not the AI and the LLM. You can see that there's an LLM.atsx here already, but it's not extra complete. Like it's just barely 600, 700 lines of code. It's not even up to 700. And an LLM dot full t.txt is going to be very, very large. I expect it to be extremely large, like 6 times these lines of code. I have another one where I used, okay, there's another project where the llm.tsx for, let me just show you guys, for bottom sheet for Hero UI native, which is one of the inspiration for implementing something like this. It's a very good framework in case you guys don't know. There's also a native version of this for creating native stuff now. So feel free to check it out. It's very cool actually. So if you go to the llm full.txt file and then you try opening this, you see that is a whole lot of code. You can see how large this is. I don't know how many lines of code this is, but you could say it's going to like the tens of thousands of lines of code. So it's just a combination of different components. As you can see, it starts with, let me just go to the top again. So the first thing you see here is just basically the introduction page, blah blah blah, this, and then there's an addition of other things, installation, and then you see features for complete documentation, check this, related PR, component improvements, just additions upon additions upon additions of what you need to complete the implementation. That's basically what it is. So after dealing with all of this, the next thing we wanted is okay, let me go back to this. So we have that say partially implemented, which is the llm.tsx. So if I'm to create a skill for Claude, I don't want these videos to be long. I just want this to keep it under 30 minutes. I just want to show you guys what I'm about to do and probably start it, but not complete it here because it's going to take a while to do all of these things. But I might do a follow-up video on how to create a skill that you can put on Vessel. Very easy, something like a demo that you can reference. Just 5 minutes video just to show you how everything is done, and then that'll be it. So, but interestingly, I have everything here. I have the documentation already, comprehensive documentation. So creating a skill shouldn't be a problem per se. So I asked the question, I said, nice, how can I add this to the Vessel open source skill database? So he said, prepare a skill repository, a public skill repository like this. This will be the repo structure for that, and I'll do this. But then the idea is, if do I want to make a skill repository separate from the code base, or I want to add it into the code base, which was my preference in the first instance. So I said, okay, part of the conversation was how I could add it to the code base. So let's say this is the recommended repo layout. I have things like this: packages, docs, examples, which I actually have. You can see we have the packages, docs. I have certain examples, but the examples are in apps playground, which we could extract out, but I don't want to do that. So we could do that: package, docs, examples. Then we have the AI skills, cognitive prompts, llm.txs, and that's it. So he said, let me just walk through this for you guys just a bit. He says, so I say the question was, there are the links, these are links to consider. I give you this links to consider and say, can you create a skill that I can use for this? So he said, review this or and the documentation and say, yes, you can actually ship a production ready AI skill for it. If it's in the same copy paste functionality philosophy used by system like ShardCN, where it generates component directly, blah blah blah. It's not actually true. That's a lie, but I can refactor it to that kind of thing. So he said this is what the skill for that structure should look like. I'll create an AI directory with skills, then the name of the skill, then the skill MD instead of the MD guidelines, primitive examples, and blah 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 blah. So interestingly, I went through a I was working with Expo today and I saw this queue and it got me thinking that okay, this is exactly some of the things I was trying to implement. So this is one of the things you can do. We can create something like this also that can make us add the skill to our existing project. It's possible, but I want to add it to the repo itself so that by loading the repo and the package itself, you have the skill directly embedded without needing to do anything significant. While still being able to provide you the skills separately. So I haven't decided the approach to use. Like I said, I'm not publishing this yet, but I just want to show you guys how I can do it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go with this approach because I feel like it's more extensive with examples, which makes a lot of sense. Now, if you try installing things like Expo skills, let me show you guys what that would look like. So let me copy this, show you guys what that would look like. You see it has a lot of configurations that you need to do some of this stuff. So if I go to the playground native, I'll go back to the playground native. I don't know which one was that. So I'll paste it here and I'll do something like this. Now it's going to load and ask me certain questions, first of all. Now I see something like this skills, as you can see, source is github expo skills.git. So let's go there so you guys can see how that looks like. um Yeah, and this is what it looks like. You see, you say it's a collection of AI agents for working with expert projects. You can see there are a lot of different stuff there. Got 12 contributors. So it's yeah, it's different. So you can add the marketplace itself, install a plugin. All of these things are possible, but we don't want to go this far yet. This is just a UI library for now, but you get the idea. So then we have plugins, Claude, contribution, license, readme. So Now, looking at this, you see repository clone found nice skill. So the question is, where are the skills in this? So the first thing is the skills probably are in the plugin, which makes sense. So if you go here and you look a bit, you see things like Expo API routes, CI/CD workflow. So if I go back to the documentation, you see something like this. Plugin is Expo app design, Expo app design, Expo app design. You can see there are different plugins, but basically three different distinct plugins. One for design, deployment, and upgrading Expo. So if I go back to this and I go here, you see design, deployment, and upgrading. So it's perfect. So if I click on the Expo app design also, you see that we have skills as a directory. So comparing this with what is in this, you can see it looks similar. You have AI then skills, which is similar to what is here. You have the directory itself, which is Cloud plugin. Then you have look the Expo as design rather, which is name of the skills in our own use case. And then we have a skills directory, then a readme.md file, which kind of makes sense, right? So the readme notifier just tells you what it does, what the plug, provide UI guidelines, and all of those things. So we can just copy, go to the skills directory and see another set of folders. And which, if you compare the folders here to the folders you see here, you can see similar, right? You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. See 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's weird. Where's the ninth one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so that means one is missing. Which one is missing? Expo deployment. Okay, Expo deployment is actually a plugin. So why is it here? I don't know. But there's also upgrading Expo, which is also a plugin. So it's just accessible because this will walk through everything and find the skills for you. That's how skills work. So in this case, we have what is missing here then? Building is here, Expo route is here, CICD is not here. Expo route, building, Expo dev client, tailwind setup. Okay, Jetpack Compose is not part of the skills available. Funny enough, it was added 2 hours ago. I think that's why. So maybe it has not been published yet, as you can see. Jetpack Compose was just added 2 hours ago, so that's definitely why it's not available there. So that basically explains it. So that makes a lot more sense, right? So I said I wanted to keep this short, so I want to keep it as short as possible. So the next thing from the findings is let's now pick an example. So let's say I have a skills like we have here. I can create a directory also that will be used to install the skill, right? So let's say the name is Copy Native UI, but in my case, it's going to be Radix Native UI. So the reason why I have Copy Native UI is just a name variant, right? So it's just an example. And then we can, let's select it building native UI as example. You see things like references and skill.md. So the first thing you see is skill.md, which you can see here also. So like I said, I'm be going with this approach because it seems more likely and more reasonable. Then the next thing you see here is you see references. Basically, once you have the skill.md, it registers it automatically as a skill. That's how skills work. It looks for things that have to do with skill.md. There are other files you can add to it, like references, like animations, controls. As you can see, there's a lot of things, right? That makes it easy for you. So in our own case, also, it's just the installation guidelines primitive. They're just examples. They're not really what to use per se. But let's take a look at what the skill.md looks like because that will give us a bit of reference. And you can see it's just 321 lines of code. It's actually very short. Let me show the code so you could see. 321 lines of code. Just a very simple example. Create a share group like this. It tells you how to do it. It tells you yeah, the rules, which is basically you create all the normal documentation description command. You have the references, you tell it here other things, specify direction. Let me see how to what you need. So basically, these are instructions on how to do it. So it's not even something you need to write yourself. You can get AI to write and read through it, then post it, which is why I said I'm not publishing this now, not even on this call, because I want to have a very, very structured skill help AI. So not only the AI confused than actually reading the documentation, right? So that's the idea, and that is what is expected. So the next thing I'm going to do, oh, thank you, Jesus. The next thing I'm going to do here is all right. So after getting the skilled folder structure, which is this, now you see that what we need basically just the skilled.md file, which we already have here. As you can see, we have example of skilled or MD. So it's just telling you what the skill is. As you can see, it's similar to this, but not exactly this, but it's similar, right? We can still refactor it. So what I'm going to do is go here into my directories, the repository, and I'm not going to install this skill. So yeah, I'm just going to comment that out. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to create a new directory called AI, which is going to be at the root of the directory, because when we publish this package, remember, okay, this is smart, but this is not where it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be inside the packages because we have it inside the package. So it's going to be inside the package itself, which is here. So because we want it inside the repository where we have the package itself, right? Except we want to take it out into a separate repository, just like Expo did. So if we want to use the approach that Expo did, which is in this case, we can do this also. So we can have two approaches. We can have one in the repo itself that allows you to be able to use the package itself that will publish along with the the npm package that will publish to npm itself, and then anybody that installs it or automatically have a file that tells them what to do. That is a possibility, and that is one of the things I'm going to actually work with. So the first thing I'm going to do is, as you can see, there's no agent or md file here, so that's the first thing to do. The first thing to do is add it to the package, which means I'm going to go here and add agent. I'm going to create a new file, agents.md file in the directory itself. This is the directory, right? Radix UI Themes Native. That's the name I gave it originally to, which is different from the package name you guys know of. So if you want to download the library, it is Radix Native UI, right? This is the package on npm. So feel free to download it on npm if you want to use it. So interestingly, we had more downloads over the between the last time and today. So we had more downloads. So thank you to everybody that is downloading this, trying it out. Really appreciate that. I really appreciate the effort also. Yeah. So in last 4 days I've published this. We've had a lot of weekly downloads, which is cool. So yeah, so thank you for everyone for that. So let's go back to this. Going back to, we have the agent or MD, right? We need to paste whatever it is that we want inside of that. So I'm going to go back to the test where I can paste this. So I'll go back to, I told you already that I have an agent or MD file that was generated for me previously. Previous conversation. I don't think it should be here. Yeah. Okay, no, this agent or MD was the one we wanted to use for the UI builder, which doesn't work for us. Nah, I'm not using this. Okay, no, I'm just going to copy the new agent or MD file that I believe this guy generated. I think he generated one for me that I could use. Well, this is not expressive, or let me say extensive enough. Yeah, but it works temporarily now. According to this, agent, copy this. This is not, like I said, this is not this is a, it's not complete, right? So it says AI coding agents can, like itself, like cursor clock code, can automatically read to understand how to use a framework. So that is exactly why I'm adding it to the framework, so that immediately you download it, if you install it as a package, they already know what to do with it, which makes a lot of sense. So that's why I'm adding it there directly. So it is a very simplified agent or MD file. Like, it's not simplified per se, but to me, in terms of understanding the how the library work, it's kind of simplified. So this is how it's going to work. So you say it contains Redis native UI, composable UI library for building this. AI couldn't use this guide on generating UI code. So this is a very good instruction to give the AI agent. So it says copy UI, automatic, reusable, this, and chassis style component. Yeah, not really. So this is wrong. So it doesn't use this. Yeah, that is just it. So this is why you need to do all of those things, because a little information off of what your or actually of the AI to misbehave in it or even do what is not expected. So you need to read through it. That even if it's to scan it, do it, or prove it, I to be very do how this will go. And if you're interested in creating your own, so, because it's even and agents we want to like the views to create stuff when the card exists, and using house when we have props that we can use. So it's telling you to prioritize this is going to go a long way. So, and I'm sure that like Codex follows instruction very well. Follow instructions more. and Cloud also do. So if you use any of those two, you should verify your workflow. So we specify how to install it, which if you remember from the one we checked also from here, you can see that to install. I think it's this so you're going to use the every preference is legacy, use the new one. So anything that is specific to that may cause UI the you need to extract it out of the documentation and be specific. So this case, being specific here, it makes a lot of sense. I need to reformat it to make a lot more sense, right? So supported platforms support copy. Okay, let me change this to so supports React Native and Expo. Ensure the environment include this and this importing components. Yeah, so it tells you how to do. Then core design philosophy. So this is not even complete. I'm sure. I think ChatGPT got cut off when it was generating this, if I'm not mistaken. Because yeah, okay, yeah, it did get cut off. Oh shish, I understand what happened. So in his approach to to actually creating stuff like this, he misbehaved. Yeah, I get it now. So these are also still part of the documentation, right? This one, you can see this is just this one, this one here is what you see here. Then two also is the part of documentation. So I still need to copy this. But the crazy thing is that in pasting this here, I just need to do a bit of formatting myself now to make it work. Yeah, so you guys understand this, right? So so that is exactly why it was not able to do it. So it's supposed to generate something like this. This is supposed to be TSX. Then we move this here, then we do this, then I do something like this just to make it reasonable, I guess. Yeah, something like this should be fine. So this is what is expected. Then this number two you see here is still part of the documentation, but because of the old triple quotation thing, it got cut off. That happens a lot. So I need to just copy number two. I need to paste it myself. Oh my god, this is going to be a lot of work. So one, two, so I need to steer the formatting, which is very, very difficult now. So basically you get the idea. I'll probably be doing all of this. I'm not on the call, just not to waste time. So three also it tells you what to do, follow the mobile layout. Four, five, you can see all of these things. So the agent or MD file actually ends here. So I still need to have all of this, right? As you can see. So yeah, so that is very important, but it wasn't able to get it right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to branch out from this place, and then I'll tell you to regenerate that, and then we can use it. But you can see that that is some of the things we need to do, right? So all of these are important to have: the two, the three, the four, the five, down to all of those other instructions. So it said avoid this, avoid this, avoid this. So avoid touchable opacity, text inputs. Well, I don't want you to avoid text inputs. Only use text input when necessary. So yeah, uh, I don't want you to avoid test input because yeah, test input has a lot more flexibility than what we provide because we have just like easy template for you to use, but test input is still what we leverage. So using it doesn't really affect anything. But touchable opacity can still be used, but we provide more better options with haptics and even with animations built in so that you can use our own that we've already prepared. That still wraps on the touchable opacity itself. So it makes a lot of sense to do that. So follow mobile layout patterns. This also is important. So I hope you guys understand how to do this. In case you want to generate yours, so it's not really a bother. You can use this approach that I'm just showing you to do this. So yeah, this is supposed to be something like this. I don't know. I won't stress much on this. For I'm just going to do this and I'll paste it. So available primitives, which we also have. So you know what? I'm just doing this. Yeah. So you can see the example also is part of the documentation. So available primitive should also be its own section. I'm sure. And example login screen also should be its own section. You see, all of these are their own sections. But because of it is, you know what I'm going to do is that's copy this here, and then probably just do this and paste this here. Yeah, I think this should be yeah, perfect. As you can see, it does that. It just copies it directly. So if you read through this, it takes below is a production. I'll just remove all that stuff, and I'll say I could leave that too. It doesn't really matter because it tells you what to do and how to use it, but there's no point. So I'm just going to remove that. Copy this is this. This is the markdown. I'll remove the markdown approach here, and I'm going to just remove this. So I have just this without the markdown, and dramatically makes a lot more sense, right? You can see the examples. You can copy this, which was what we did the other time. And yeah, just going to make a slight change to some things. Just got this Radix native UI. I'm going to look for copy native. I'm going to replace that with this native. So replace to be short. Just on this. Let's yeah replace this one. Okay, so that's done. Next 5 minutes, I promise I will end this. So that's the first thing. So basically, you see that we have all the agent.md file now. Agent.md file that tells you overview, installation, supported platforms, core design philosophy, the permits available, everything that we have available. This is not it, but I wonder why this is small. We have like almost 40 components. This is very small, but then you get the idea. I can add the other ones to it, and the example login screen also. I can have examples from the existing examples I have and add it to it just like that. To even this is similar to what was done here. As you can example of setting views, things, sheets, blah blah blah. All of those things are examples. And accessibility, anti-patterns, don't do this, don't do this. Do you understand? Agents should not generate API code only. So these are interested, let me say these are a uh recommended ways of doing this because now I'm telling the AI to generate what it can read. So it told me where to get the documentation for extra things. So it helps you a lot when you are doing stuff like this, and it just makes a lot more sense. So what I'm going to do is how to use this. Now this is the summary. It's a composable, blah blah blah. How to use this, place it at top of your repo, Radix, this, which is what I just did. But now you see, realize I don't need this aspect of it. I just need the documentation, and that's it. And I'll leave the summary as well. I'll leave the summary as well. So that's the last thing. So why this is important? Uh, I don't need this part too because it says these are just like the summary. How to use it, place it at the top of your code. So which I have done. AI coding to automatically detect it here also. But it tells me one important thing that we should have, which is okay for the other stores which I don't need. So I'm just going to remove this and we're good. So the summary, and that is the end of the agent.md file. So the agent.md file is complete now. And what else do I need? From what we saw the other time, we needed to create other things. So I'm still going to come back to this, right? So we'll mark this complete agent.md file. That was what I requested. So which makes sense. And it gave me other stores which I don't want to go through because I'm trying to like wrap this up. I said 5 minutes, I'll be done in 5 minutes. So I'm going to create all of these other stuff. So I need to create. So two things I'm trying to do is not create all of this inside of this. The agent.md is going to work. I can also create a skills.md. So first thing I'm going to create a directory called AI inside of it. I'm going to create all the files. I'm going to create another one called skill. Right. Now, inside of that, I'm going to create another thing called all of this nested directory. It's just good practice. And the reason why I'm doing it is because I will extract this also so that you can install it as a lie using the CLI approach, just like I did for this guy, whereby I just added skills, add this. So before you can add this skill, though, you need to have registered it on the open source skill database, which is what I'm trying to also do for this. So inside of this, I'm going to now create separate files. The first one is going to be skills.md, which is very important one, right? Which, like I said, is the most important thing you need for this. So the skills or MDs we need. So I'm just going to copy this basic skill or MD just to like fill in the gap for now. It's going to be more comprehensive than this. And if you go here, just to be sure it's not cut off like previous ones, you can see there's two, then there's three, which is different. The first thing is the folder structure. So you say it works well for Cloud Code, Cursor Agent, CLI, and custom agent frameworks, which is good. We want it to be very, very usable by all agents. So he says uses example use skill, this generate a login, this and this and this and this and this. So basically, we have all of these things that we need. So I'm not going to dwell much on this. So install the MD file. So remember the next thing we need. Let's first create all the package. 2 minutes more, then I'm done with this. So I have install the MD, right? Then the next thing is what? Guidelines. So note the way I'm using it. You can see that this is in uppercase, same way you see it here, that is skill.md, right? I don't know if it's actually skill, not skills. Yeah, I know that was wrong. So it's skill.md. So beware of the name, this the spelling, and the way you add it. So one more thing also, we need to add one more thing. So we are creating a new file called guidelines. Then we are creating a new one called um, we are creating a new one called primitive.md, right? Okay, so 1 more minute. So we have primitives.md, then examples directory. So examples directory, and the examples directory we have two things: login screen.md. We have another one, profile screen and settings screen. Then settings screen, right? Okay, so and that's basically how it's going to go. So this is what I'm going to be using for my skills. I can simply extract this out into a separate directory, just like they did for Expo, like I showed you guys. You can see it's inside the skills directory by default. Like inside, you have the plugins, and from the plugins, you have the first one, which is the skills direct. The name of the directory is skills, basically. You can see skills. Then I can just do that skills. Then I can have the name directly here, or I could just accept the directory I'm working with skills. Then the name of the stuff, then the skill.md, which as you can see works best for our use case. So it doesn't really matter how you do this. You're just going to look for recursively a skill.md. But like ChatGPT said, this works best for what? For all these agents. So that's the way I'm going to end this today. I said 5 minutes. This is 5 minutes. I don't want to go beyond the time I set for this. So I just wanted to show you guys how to create this skill. So what I need to do now is I've shown you guys how to create your agent or MD. So what I'm going to do now is fill in the gap with or fill in all of this documentation and then push that. Then when I'm ready to like push to Vessel public skill.se database, I'll also make a video to show you guys how I do that one. So if you have not subscribed, consider subscribing so that you can get notified when that drops. It can drop anytime today, tomorrow, I don't know, but definitely there will be a follow-up of today's video from by tomorrow. So you will get all the gist, but stay tuned and subscribe so you can get notified of when that happens. And yeah, thank you for joining us to this course. So if you have any question, feel free to drop a comment, feel free to drop a like. I really appreciate the like, just to show that yeah, whatever I'm saying here is useful for you guys. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you for watching today. Catch you guys in the next one. Bye for now.